Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurung Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunath Tanvitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitangscha Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshamam Krishna 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 Pahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshamam Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Ahimam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana. Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Avasthang Gatopi Va Ya Asmarit Pundarika Akshang Sabaya Abhyantara Shuchihi. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. Om Ajnana Timarandhasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Mukhaṁ karoti vācālaṁ Pangam langhayate girim. Yat kripatamaham vande Sri Gurung Dinataranam. Yat kripatamaham vande Parama Ananda Madhavam. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarad Iva Sahishnuna. Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatir Anyata. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Korea Aikya. Arna Kariho Mane A. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we're about halfway through this largest chapter of the Krishna book. Today we're going to study scene number 18. So we're practically halfway through this chapter. This scene is entitled The Difference Between God and the Living Entity. So, here's what we find. The Vedas personified continued. Our dear Lord Krishna, you are equal to all, with no partiality toward a particular type of living entity. As you are parts and parcels, all living entities either enjoy or suffer in different conditions of life. They are just like the sparks of a fire. Just as sparks dance on a blazing fire, so all living entities are dancing on your support. You, O Lord, are providing them with everything they desire. And yet, you are not responsible for their position of either enjoyment or suffering. And that is because the living entities have minute independence, and it is up to them to choose whether to enjoy or suffer by their own decisions, which you have nothing to do. There are different types of living entities, such as demigods, human beings, animals, trees, birds, beasts, germs, worms, insects, and aquatics. And all are enjoying or suffering in life by resting upon you. The living entities are of two kinds. One is called ever liberated or Nitya Mukta, and the other class is called Nitya Baddha. The Nitya Mukta living entities are in the spiritual kingdom, and the Nitya Baddha are in the material world. In the spiritual world, both Lord Krishna and the living entities are manifest in their original status, like live sparks in a blazing fire. But in the material world, although Lord Krishna is all-pervasive in his impersonal feature, the living entities have forgotten their Krishna consciousness, just as sparks sometimes fall from a blazing fire and lose their original brilliant condition. Some sparks fall onto dry grass and thus ignite another big fire. This is a reference to the pure devotees who take compassion on the poor, innocent living entities. The pure devotee enlightens Krishna consciousness in the hearts of the conditioned souls, and thus the blazing fire of the spiritual world becomes manifest even within this material world. Now, at the same time, some sparks fall onto water, and immediately they lose their original brilliance and become almost extinct. This is comparable to the living entities who take their birth in the midst of gross materialists, in which case their original Krishna consciousness becomes almost extinct. Some sparks fall to the ground and remain midway between the blazing and extinct conditions. Thus, some living entities are without Krishna consciousness, some are between having and not having Krishna consciousness, and some are actually situated in Krishna consciousness. The demigods in the higher planets, beginning from Lord Brahma, Indra, Chandra, Surya, Soma, and various other demigods, are all Krishna conscious. Human society is between the demigods and the animals, and thus some are more or less Krishna conscious, and some are completely forgetful of Krishna consciousness. And the third grade living entities, namely the animals, beasts, plants, trees, and aquatics, have completely forgotten Krishna consciousness. This example, stated in the Vedas, of the sparks of a blazing fire is very appropriate for understanding the condition of different varieties of living entities. But above all other living entities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is also known as Purushottama, who is always liberated from all material conditions. We find in chapter 15 of the Gita how Krishna explains, Yasmat Sharang Atito Ham Aksharad Api Chottama Atosmi Loke Vedecha Prathita Purushottama. Krishna says, because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as Purushottama, the Supreme Person. The question may be raised as to why the living entities have fallen by chance into different conditions of life. To answer this question, we first have to understand that there cannot be any influence of chance for the living entities. Chance is for non-living entities. According to the Vedic literatures, living entities have knowledge, and thus they are called Chaitanya, which means in knowledge. Their situation in different conditions of life, therefore, is not accidental. It is by their own choice, because they have knowledge. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up everything and just surrender unto me. This process of realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is open for everyone, but still it is the choice of the particular living entity whether to accept or reject this proposal. We see in the last portion of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna very plainly says to Arjuna, Iti te jnanam akyatam guyad guyatarang maya Varmishyaitad asheshena yathe shasi tata kuru. My dear Arjuna, now I have spoken everything to you. Everything now depends on whether you choose to accept it. Similarly, the living entities who have come down to this material world have made their own choice to enjoy this material world. It is not that Krishna sent them into this material world. The material world is created for the enjoyment of the living entities who wanted to give up the eternal service of Lord Krishna in order to become the supreme enjoyer themselves. According to Vaishnava philosophy, when a living entity desires to gratify one's senses and subsequently forgets the service of Lord Krishna, he or she is given a place in the material world to act freely according to one's desire. And therefore, one creates a condition of life in which one either enjoys or suffers. We should know definitely that both Lord Krishna and the living entities are eternally cognizant. There is no birth and death for either Lord Krishna or the living entity herself. When creation takes place, it does not mean that the living entities are created. Lord Krishna creates this material world to give the conditioned souls a chance to elevate themselves to the higher platform of Krishna consciousness. But if the conditioned soul does not take advantage of this opportunity, then after the dissolution of this material world, one enters into the body of Narayan in his form as Mahavishnu and remains there in deep sleep until the time of another creation. In this connection, the example of the rainy season is very appropriate. Seasonal rainfall may be taken as the agent for creation because after the rainfall, the wet fields are favorable for growing different types of vegetation. Similarly, as soon as there is creation, by Lord Krishna's glancing over the material nature, immediately the living entities spring up in their different living conditions. Just as different types of vegetation grow after a rainfall. The rainfall is one, but the creation of the different vegetables is varied. The rain falls equally on the whole field, but the different vegetables sprout up in different shapes and different forms according to the seeds planted by the farmer. Similarly, the seeds of our desires are varied. Every living entity has a different type of desire, and that desire is the seed which causes one's growth in a certain type of body. This is explained by Rupa Goswami by the word Papa Bija. Papa means sinful. All of our material desires are to be taken as Papa Bija, or seeds of sinful desires. Bhagavad Gita explains that our sinful desire is that we do not want to surrender to Krishna. Lord Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham twang sarva papebhyo moksha yishyami ma shuchaha. I shall give you protection from the resultant actions of your sinful desires. These sinful desires are manifest in different types of bodies. Therefore, no one can accuse the Supreme Lord of partiality in his giving one type of body to a certain type of living entity and another type of body to another living entity. All the bodies of the 8,400,000 species come according to the mental condition of the individual living entities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottama, only gives them a chance to act according to their desires. Therefore, the living entities are acting, taking advantage of the facilities given by Lord Krishna. At the same time, they are born from the transcendental body of Lord Krishna. This relationship between Lord Krishna and the living entities is explained in the Vedic literatures, wherein it is said that the Supreme Lord maintains all of his children, giving them whatever they want. Therefore, we find this verse in the Upanishads. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vididhati kaman. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasang brahma mahad yonir ahang bija pradapita. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father of all the living entities. It is very simple to understand that the father gives birth to the children, but the children act according to their own desires. Therefore, the father is never responsible for the different futures of his children. Each child can take advantage of the father's property and instruction. But even though the inheritance and instruction may be the same for all the children, out of their different desires, each child creates a different life and thereby suffers or enjoys. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita's instructions are equal for everyone. Everyone should surrender unto the Supreme Lord, and Krishna will take charge of such persons and protect them from sinful reactions. The facilities of living in the creation of Lord Krishna are equally offered to all living entities. Whatever there is, either on the land, on water, or in the sky, is equally given to all living entities. Since they are all children of the Supreme Lord, everyone can enjoy the material facilities given by Lord Krishna. But unfortunate living entities create unfavorable conditions of life by fighting among themselves. The responsibility for this fighting and creating favorable and unfavorable situations of life lies with the living entities, not with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if the living entities take advantage of Lord Krishna's instructions as given in Bhagavad Gita, and they develop Krishna consciousness, then their lives become sublime and they can go back to Godhead. Now, at the same time, one may argue that because this material world is created by Lord Krishna, therefore Krishna is responsible for its condition. Now, certainly Krishna is indirectly responsible for the creation and maintenance of this material world, but Krishna himself is never responsible for the different conditions of the living entities. That is why Krishna says in the 5th chapter of the Gita, Nadate kasyachit papang nachaiva sukritang vibhu agyanena avritang gyanam tena muhyanti jantava. The Supreme Lord never assumes anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Lord Krishna's creation of this material world is compared to the cloud's creation of vegetation. In the rainy season, the cloud creates different varieties of vegetables. The cloud pours water on the surface of the earth, but the cloud never touches the earth directly. Similarly, Lord Krishna creates this material world simply by glancing over the material world. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Tad Aikshata Bahu Syam. Krishna threw his glance over the material nature, and thus there was creation. In Bhagavad Gita, this is also confirmed. Mayadyakshena prakriti suyate satcharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Simply by his transcendental glance over the material nature, Krishna creates different varieties of entities, both movable and immovable, living and dead. Therefore, the creation of the material world can be taken as one of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It is called one of the pastimes of Lord Krishna because Krishna creates this material world whenever Krishna desires. The desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also extreme mercy on Krishna's part because it gives another chance to the conditioned souls to develop their original consciousness and thus go back to Godhead. Therefore, no one can blame the Supreme Lord for creating this material world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklada Klada Dayane Hiranya Kashi Odavakshaha Shilatankana Kalaye Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsingo Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsinga Bahir Nrsingo Rinaye Nrsingo Nrsingham Ading Sharanang Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha, Jai Jagadisha, Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. So I've put the words to today's song, and I chose this song because although I wrote this song in 1983, still it is very pertinent. And this song is my own. It's my words, it's my music. I wrote this song at a very crucial point in my Krishna consciousness. And even though I wrote it in 1983, I still find it relevant. And it's exactly what I am feeling these days. So I hope you enjoy this particular rendition. The music was recorded in 2006, and I just discovered this music. So here we go. It's entitled Tamasi Ma Jyotir Gama. Come out of the darkness and into the light. And it is subtitled, Let's Get Woke. Come out of the darkness and into the light. You know you're in Maya. Get up and fight and admit to yourself what you're doing ain't right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. This world is just like a desert. Not even one drop of water I can find. Although I try so very hard, I just can't achieve peace of mind. Don't play with life, it's not a game. Slay with the knife of God's holy name. You want to enjoy, but haven't you learned? Heaven can't be bought, it has to be earned. It has to be earned. Ow! Come out of the darkness into the light. The man in the mirror is to blame for your plight. So chant Hare Krishna with all of your might. And always remember, to preach means to fight. Yeah, hit it! Haribo, Haribo! Sarvadharman, Parityaja, Mamekam, Sharanam Raja. Don't play with life, it's not a game. Play with the knife of God's holy name. I want to enjoy, but I haven't learned. Heaven can't be bought, it has to be earned. Wow! It has to be earned. Brr. Come out of the darkness and into the light. You know you're in Maya. Get up and fight and admit to yourself what you're doing ain't right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. To yourself what you're doing ain't right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. Surrender to Krishna. Yeah. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. All right. That's today's song. Haribol.